Pokemon Soulsilver without catching any Pokemon. Let's do this. First up is the rival, and level 8 of killing wild Pokemon, and a few tackles did him in. Next up is I got 2 eggs from this weird guy named Primo. First egg hatched to a sheep. I call it Mareep. By the way, my Stickquill is female. I named it Zuko, and she's to a Azul later. Second egg is Wooper. I can't catch any Pokemon my way, not for HMs or for nothing. I should probably clarify that now. Alright, the elderly. He's a mini boss. I still include him. Ember's his Bellsprouts, and then Mareep Thundershocked his Hoodoo. And then next up is Faulkner. Well, I have a Mareep. So, you can already see what happened there. You know he says a bolt electricity won't allow that to happen from electricity clips Pokemon. Mio can talk. It happened. Alright, next up is Proton. And, well, as you can see, I Thundershocked his Zubat, and his coffee went down to a few embers. Next up is Gym Leader Bugsy. He leads off with his Scyther, goes earlier. I go for a Thunder Wave with Flappy, Electricity. Then I go for a Thundershock as he uses U-turn. With a crit, got his Manaply, went back out to Scyther. Then he took Flappy out to attack. I went to full level, start embering it down as the hit starts to sit in Leer. Then it went for Focus Energy. He healed up, I went for a few more embers, as it luckily it's paralyzed twice in a row, taking it out. And his Kakuna went down to 1 ember as well. Next up is the rival fight. I lead off with Wooper, and I go for Water Gun. He goes for Curse, knocking down his health, and 2 more Water Guns after that, take him out. Next up is just Croconaw. I switch over to Flappy. I go for Thundershock, bring it down by quarters, by thirds about. Then I take it out. Last up is Zubat. He goes with Supersonic, he missed. I go for Thundershock, bring him to red. 1 more Thundershock takes him out as he's being Supersonic, but I didn't hit myself luckily. I get Kenya from the delivery man, prompts him to deliver to his friend. I don't. Next up is Whitney. So I started Mud Bomb and Mudshine or Clefairy. It mimics me. Then I went for a Metronome and roared my Quagsire out into Azula. I renamed Galava to Azula. It's better. I Ember it, burn it, and then it burn takes it out. Next up is our Miltank, which goes down after being paralyzed by Flappy with a few embers. Kind of a bitch, but hey, it's Whitney. It's not the worst Whitney fight I've ever had. I get an Eevee from Bill. I wonder what's going to evolve into. Alright, Nick. Rival fight in Burn Tower. I Aerial Ace his Gas, it's weak. I switch over to Quagsire and I dig his Magnemite since it's 4 times effective. And then, it's Crocodile. I'll go back to Botricity. Hit it with a Thundershock. Use a Scary Face as on me. 2 Thundershocks take it out. Last up is a Zubat. And a Thundershock kills it. Next up is Morty. Remember what I said about Ghastly being weak to... yeah. So, here's a tidbit if you're struggling on Morty. Use a normal type Pokemon. Like, I've literally beaten Morty's Gengar with a level 3 Rattata. But yeah, just use normal type. It can't touch you. So I just Aerial Aced his low defense Pokemon, winning me the Ghost Badge or whatever the fuck it's called. First up is Ucine. Well, you know, I mean, next up is I'm fighting Ucine now. I burnt his weird pedophile Pokemon. Next up is Electrode. I use Dig with Smiley Face. Then bring him down to one health. I go for a Headbutt, get paralyzed. I go for another Headbutt and actually hit. Next up is his Haunter, which I just flame wheeled to death after having some sleep and paralyzed hijinks. Petrol's next. I know it would be logical to fight Chuck, but I need to grind up my Espeon that just recently evolved. So yeah, that's our Petrol. Espeon is level 28, officially caught up with the rest of the team. Now, might as well finish out Rocket Hideout with the double battle. That was very long and annoying because I got paralyzed plus Intimidate. So, chipping away at the Arbok with Aerial Ace as I get paralyzed almost every other fucking turn. My Lance never does. Fucking asshole. Why is he so damn lucky? Alright. Murkrow gets fucked by a Thunder. And then last up is our Gloom. Well, we have 2 flying types on the field, so you can assume how that went. Then add a Quava because of paralyzation. Bullshit. Next up is Chuck. I go for Confusion, bringing his Primate to red health because red health team. I use Swift. Then I go for another Confusion, taking it out. Next up is his Poliwrath. I go for Confusion, bringing him to half as he goes for Hypnosis. He uses Body Slam while I'm asleep, then he finishes 2 Body Slams while I'm asleep, and he finishes off with a Surf. Last up is Kenya. Aerial Ace. He brings a red heat and Airy. Fairy. Another Aerial Ace takes him out. Alright, time to fight Jasmine. I did 1 dig to go our Magnemite. I use Surf Harness Steel Experience as a red health because of her Citrus Berry. It brings it in out of heal range. And I kill it. Last up is a second Magnemite, which, like the first one, goes down to 1 dig. Next up is Price. I use Discharge on a Seal, one-shot it, then I switch over to Quagsire for his Pillow Swine. I go for Surf, bringing it to about half health after meeting his berry. He goes for Blizzard, bringing me to 60%. One more Surf takes it out. Last up is his Dugong. I send out Ampharos. Discharge brings it to yellow health. Red health, he heals. I go for Thunder Punch. Thinking he's out of heal range, he uses a full restore, so I just use 2 more Discharge taking it out. That was Price. Alright, time to battle Petrol again. Well, the second part corrupted, but just look what I'm doing. The same thing. He has all Coughings and Wheezings this time instead of Eradicate. So yeah, that was easy. Next up is Silver. He is for Confuse Ray as I go for Discharge, taking it out. Skullbat out. Next up is for Alligator. I don't know why I threw it in for Alligator. I hit myself with Confusion, he goes for Thrash. Next up, Discharge killed him. Next up is his Haunter. I go for Psybeam with my Espeon and I take it out. Last up is this next up is Sneasel. I'll go back up to Azula, use Lava Plume. Last up is Magnetite, and no Lava Plume took it out. Alright, Proton time. I went for Surf. A few Surfs to take out the Golbat. Next up is the Weezing, which also went down to 2 Surfs. Since it has Levitate, I can't use Earthquake. Next up is Ariana. Leave it off Espeon to Psybeam her Arbok. Then a Murkrow comes out. I go over to Ampharos, discharge her Murkrow. Next up is her Vileplume, and I take it out with a Fly. Alright, Team Rocket Boss, Archer time. Archer and Archie, Jesus. Surf, it's a Houndour. Then I use Earthquake on the Houndoom. Then last up is this Coughing, which Espeon used Psybeam. Alright, last up. Alright, now time for Johto Gym Leader, Claire. I discharge her Gyarados as it hits me with Dragon Rage. Next up is one of her Dragonairs. I go over to Espeon, Psybeam, it Thunder Waves me. I use Secret Noise, Thunder Waves, it gets Jet Skin. Hits me twice with Aqua Tail. I'm paralyzed twice in a row, brings it 3 health to another Aqua Tail. I finish off 1 more Psybeam. Alright, Arcangel's coming out. Send out Ampharos, who lives a Hydro Pump, and I use Thunder Wave. And I go for Discharge. Jeez. They bring it down to about half to 2 after it's eating the berry, and it took me out the Hydro Pump. I go for Earthquake with Quagsire as she heals up. And user goes for Smokescreen. Luckily, I didn't miss any Earthquakes, which is nice. Alright. That was Kingdra. Last up is our last Dragonair. She took out my Quagsire with the Dragon Pulse. Last up is Kenya. My one Fly bring down to about 25%, and an Aerial Ace took out the Dragonair, winning me the badge. Well, you know, after whooping the Karate King's ass, I got a Tyrogue. Then I'm evolving to a Hitmonchan. Alright, last rival fight. He's off a Sneasel. I forgot he let off with that this time. A couple Swifts took it out. Next up is his Haunter. I got Icy Wind, so I wasn't comfortable in Espeon's taking out, so I swapped over to that one. Alright, then I went over to Quagsire, and I used Earthquake after I hit myself once on Magneton. Next up is his Kadabra. I'll go back out to Kenya. 1 Aerial Ace takes it out. Next up is his Feraligatr. He goes for Waterfall. I go for Discharge, taking him out 1 shot. Next up is his Golbat. Discharge, dead. That's a rifle. Alright, first up is Will. I discharge his first Xatu. Then I want to go over to Koolava. I use Flamethrower on his Jinx. Next up is the Slowbro. I'll go back out to Ampharos. Discharge. Gives me Executor. I go back to Azula. Flamethrower. And last up is his other Xatu. I go back out to Ampharos and he's no discharge, taking it out. After some confusion hijinks, I hit myself 3 or 4 times in a fucking row. Alright, next up is Kogo's Gyarados. 1 Psybeam took it out. Next up is his Fortress. Goes for Protect. Then I go for Flamethrower, taking it out. Next up is Muck. I switch over to Quagsire. I go for Earthquake. 1 shot in it. Then next up is Venomoth. I go out to Espeon. 1 Psybeam, took it out. Last up is his Crobat. And 1 Psybeam took his Crobat out. Next up is Bruno. I Psybeam his Hitmontop for a 1 shot. Next up was his Onix. I go to Quagsire. I use Surf as he sets up a Sandstorm. Next up is his Hitmonlee. I go back out to Espeon. A Psybeam took out Hitmonlee. Next up is Hitmonchan. 1 Psybeam took it out. Last up is his Machamp. I go for Psybeam, bringing it to red health, but eats his berry, bringing it back to yellow, out of healing range, so 1 more Psybeam took Bruno out. That's the Elite Four member, Karen. I Sky Uppercut her Umbreon with Hitmonchan and it took it out. Nice. I used Ice Punch on a Murkrow, taking it out one shot to get hit by a Pluck. Next up was a Gengar. I went over to Espeon, one Side Beam, took it out. Next up is our Houndoom. Then I used Sky Uppercut, one-shotting it. Last up is our Vileplume, which I took out with an ice. I used Ice Punch to red. I froze it. It thought I went for Stun Spore, failed. She used a Full Store. I go Earthquake, then one more Ice Punch, and I took it out. Champion Lance time. I discharge his Gyarados. Next up is a Dragonite. I go over to Hitmonchan. Use Ice Punch. Then it didn't learn counter. Next up is his Charizard. I'll go over the Quagsire. And I use Waterfall. I chose Hard Cold just because this is the only other game where you can make a pretty badass team, honestly, without catching any Pokemon. Yeah. So yeah, Ice Punch his second Dragonite to death. The next up is Aerodactyl. I go for Discharge, bring it back to red, paralyze it. Then I go for a Signal Beam so I can put it in a kill range. Try to go Discharge, I get Flinch. Then I kill the second one. I misclicked and actually sent out Hitmonchan. He got taken out one area release. Espeon came in, Side Beamed it, 2 Side Beams took it down. Last up was his last Dragonite. I Side Beamed it, bring it about a quarter. It hit a Blizzard, killed my Espeon. I go out to Kenya, go for a Drill Peck, do some damage. Critical Blizzard. Next up was a Typhlosion. Flamethrower, I put it in red, I burned it, and it got killed because of the burn. That was so lucky at the end. Alright, final boss, Blue. A couple Shadow Balls took out his Executor after he set up a Trick Room, but by the time Executor died, Trick Room was gone. Not before putting me to sleep first. Fucking dick. Alright. By the way, if you're still watching, hit that subscribe button. This is pretty fun. And I love to see y'all's support. Alright. Next up is Rhydon. Sky Uppercut, a nice punch, put him away. Next up is Pidgeot, who Air Slash my Hitmonchan to death. Next up is my Ampharos. I go for Discharge, and take down the Pidgeot. Next up is Machamp. I switch over to Espeon. I go for a Psychic. Bring down to red, as I see with an Earthquake. Blue heals it, then one more Psychic takes it out. Next up is Dark Canine. I send out, what's it called? Quagsire. 2 Earthquakes, take it out after getting hit by 2 Dragon Pulses. And last up is his Gyarados. Switch over to Ampharos, and I take it out with a Discharge. This was fun. Hope you all enjoy.